Is time running out? The answer to that is yes. Time is something we cannot control. One thing we can control is how we let it affect our lives. Tick Tick Boom covers some crucial lessons about the struggling artist, and more broadly speaking, life itself. The logline of the film reads, "On the brink of turning 30, a promising theatre composer navigates love, friendship, and the pressure to create something great before time runs out." Just over a year ago now, I put together a video called "Why I Watch Little Miss Sunshine When I'm Sad." The response I received to that video from people sharing their stories shed some light on the darkness in some people's lives. It was rewarding to be told that I had created something that was truly helpful, and comforting to know that there are people who felt the same way I did, and feel the same way I do. While Little Miss Sunshine is a slice of life type of movie that is largely grounded in reality, it's still fiction. Tick Tick Boom tells the true story of playwright Jonathan Larson. The movie follows Jonathan as he attempts to write a musical. He has been writing it for 8 years and is weeks away from presenting this musical to a panel of what he calls real writers. These are essentially people who have the status and power to make or break his entire career. He lives in New York, he has a girlfriend, and is surrounded by some amazing friends. On paper, his life is good, but not in his eyes. From his perspective, his life won't be truly complete unless he becomes a successful playwright. The video you are watching right now is the final product of weeks and weeks of procrastination. Actually, months. Back in April, I made a post after 6 weeks of not posting, committing to 2 videos per month. It's now the beginning of July, and I've posted 1 video since then. I've noticed that laziness and procrastination is heavily linked to anxiety. Sometimes it's the worry that whatever I'm creating will never be good enough, and good enough by no other standards but my own. This anxiety makes the completed project feel unattainable. While watching Jonathan struggle to write his final song, I felt like I was looking in a mirror. His failure to write that final song was not due to a lack of trying. It was anxiety. He bears the knowledge that this final song will be the bow that ties together 8 years of work. If this song isn't perfect, then the musical isn't perfect. You see, having a dream is fantasy. Actually working towards that dream is reality. The closer Jonathan comes to finishing, the closer he gets to this reality. And as everyone watching this knows, reality is often disappointing. I would like to speak about the creative process, and perhaps more specifically, my own creative process while making content for this channel. These videos begin with an idea. Maybe I'm watching a movie, maybe I'm watching another video essay, or maybe I'm just sat in my kitchen with a morning coffee. Ideas for these videos come quite easy to me. Incredibly easy, in fact. But in nearly 5 years of this channel, I have made 9 videos. However, this disgraceful upload schedule is not due to a lack of ideas. In fact, the ideas that have come to me in those 5 years most likely outweigh actual finished uploads by about 10 to 1. If I was a high-functioning creative, I would have turned all those ideas into videos and would probably have a relatively successful channel. But as it stands, 9 videos. Anyway, back to number 10. For my creative process, the original idea is by far the most exciting part. I get the adrenaline rush of thinking about the idea, but I haven't had to get stuck into it yet. At this point, the idea is merely a fantasy, because when I think of an idea, I think about the moment I post the video. I fantasize about opening YouTube one day to discover that thousands of people watch the video overnight. You know what I don't think about in this moment of pure bliss? Actually making the video. Spending hours deciding what I'm going to speak about, then putting those thoughts into words. Editing the script in a way to make my point tight, cohesive, and coherent. Turning on my mic and moving past the anxiety of recording my own voice. Then editing that audio, gathering all the clips I need and piecing them all together timed perfectly to my words, choosing the right music to fit the tone of my points, making a thumbnail that will either make or break all the work I just did. No thanks. I'll fantasize about the idea instead, please. And when that fantasy slowly becomes a chore, I'll move on to another idea, and I'll fantasize about that, because that's more fun. I don't need another source of fuel for my anxiety. So, what do? How do us procrastinators ever get anything finished? First, we need to identify that this tyranny between fantasy and reality is inherent to the creative process. Once we have identified that this struggle is normal, we can decide on ways to combat and overcome it. I read an article once, which I'll link in the description, that has this to say about creativity. Fall in love with the grind. If you learn to fall in love with the execution just as much as you do dreaming up ideas, you join a really exclusive club of doers and achievers. This is much easier said than done, but tempering the expectations of the fantasy is something I found helps me. We're not supposed to enjoy every stage of creating something, and we're not always going to enjoy having created something. Creating things is just something we do. It's an outlet. So, how does this all relate to Jonathan Larson? Jonathan's failure to finish his musical is not because he doesn't care. In fact, he cares too much. In the days leading up to his workshop, he's not sleeping. He is suffering from the worst writer's block of his entire life. But it's not a disastrous coincidence. He is experiencing this writer's block because of how important it is. The pressure that is on him originates from the fact that lots of important and powerful eyes will be seeing this work. But the severity of that pressure and how he deals with it is self-inflicted. Another aspect of Jonathan's story that resonated with me is that it is clear he neglected what is truly important in his life. After his workshop, he agonizingly waits to hear what the producers think of the show. He is given the news that his show won't make it to Broadway, but that the producers are looking forward to what he writes in the future. This crushes Jonathan. He meets his best friend Michael at his office and finally admits that he wants the conventional life. The job, the nice apartment, the expensive car.
The compact disc and an electrical tin opener.
This all seems like a reasonable reaction to bad news, until he tells Michael that the past 8 years have been a total waste of time. While Jonathan rants about his problems, Michael just sits in silence, eyes glazed. Jonathan once more brings up the fact that he is turning 30. He tells Michael that he is running out of time. And here lies the most important message of the film. Michael has finally had enough of Jonathan's complaining and tells him that he is HIV positive. In his own words, he knows a thing or two about running out of time. In season 2 of The Simpsons, Homer learns that he has 24 hours to live. He makes a list of the things that are most important to him, involving the people that he loves the most. He spends time with people that he would usually otherwise not. It was his impending death that truly kickstarted his desire to live. A true contradiction to this scene in season 14.
Tip 1. Live each day like it was your last.
The phrase 24 hours to live has always stuck with me. Whether it be 24 hours, a week, or 6 months. The key part of that phrase to me is to live. Nobody ever has 6 months to die. We label it as an amount of time to live because all of a sudden life becomes so finite. Jonathan is surrounded by these ticking clocks. Despite seeing his best friends test positive for HIV, the clock that is ticking loudest for Jonathan is not one of mortality. His clock is linked to his fabricated idea of success. In the beginning of the movie, Jonathan explains that he is turning 30. According to him, older than Stephen Sondheim when he had his first Broadway show, older than Paul McCartney when he wrote his last song with John Lennon. He explains that upon turning 30, his youth will be over. In a world full of ticking clocks that we cannot control, Jonathan has made up some imaginary ones of his own. In my experience, the clocks we cannot control are the ones that truly matter. Imposing deadlines on myself in the past has only led to anxiety and comparing myself to others. In my Little Miss Sunshine video, I spoke about the dangerous nature of chasing happiness. Each character in the movie has a goal, and it appears they will stop at nothing to achieve it. They neglect their loved ones and their own mental health. Jonathan put himself in a similar predicament. He rejects every opportunity at a conventional happy life. He doesn't accept the work that Michael sends his way. Can he bend his dream just like his friend? He has an amazing girlfriend who is at a crucial turning point in her own life. She has a job opportunity that would take her far away from home and desperately needs the support and advice of her boyfriend, but Jonathan just isn't there for her. Jonathan's friends are dropping like flies around him, but all he can think about is his show. He has developed a severely narrow type of tunnel vision moving towards success that is causing destruction to both himself and the people he loves. This aspect of the film hit me in a really deep and unexpected place. I too have created what I think are important goals, and therefore often hear my own ticking clock. I think the reason why trying to do anything creative is so mentally exhausting is because you must care so much to make it happen. Fabricating things to care about can become self-destructive. There truly is a lot to be said for just not giving a shit about anything. So far as I see it, not caring about things allow the truly important things to organically emerge. Sometimes we get a cruel wake-up call that forces us into seeing this. A loved one will get sick or die, and suddenly we feel so stupid that we spent so long chasing something that we banked on making us feel whole. This is where Jonathan found himself when Michael gave him the news that he was HIV positive. Sometimes life gives us a true reality check. So, why should you watch Tick Tick Boom if you feel lost? I said that the most important message of the film lies in the scene where Jonathan tells Michael he's running out of time. Jonathan was running out of time, and so are you. What Jonathan didn't know then was that just 5 years later, the night before his first ever Broadway show, Rent, he was going to die of a sudden aortic aneurysm. Jonathan placed this ticking clock inside his head and listened to it until the noise became unbearable. He gave himself an end date. But the cruel truth is that the only end date that ever matters is the one we cannot control. And this one end date is plenty. So stop giving yourself other ones. Stop telling yourself that you should be earning X by the time you're Y, or achieve this by the time you are Y, or be with this person by the time you are Y. Because in that equation, the value for Y is unreliable, and it's a value you can never compare to other people. Why watch Tick Tick Boom if you're lost? We are all lost, which means none of us are.